Hey guys, I'm Mathu. I am a photographer but also all-round creative, as I do a little bit of styling, set design, art direction and a bit of production too. I think it's the whole creative side. I feel like there's a lot of creativity to it, especially in terms of building and styling looks that I really enjoy. I think you go on a bit of a journey just to find your style and figure out who you are as a creative and the kind of things that you're passionate about and that you care about. And a lot of things that I've come to realize I care about is, yes, fashion, but also just culture and community. Those kind of things matter to me in telling the story. I started off by doing a foundation in fashion promotion, then a photography BA at uni, and then managed to land 9 to 5 quite quickly, working within industry for a company called Studio Pi, which is a photography and illustration agency, leaving at the end of 2021 and starting to freelance since the start of 2022. So my parents were born in Sri Lanka and Jaffna, and they moved here I think around like the early 90s when they moved here to London. I think they started realising that like being creative is what I wanted to do in the long run when I think it hit around A levels. I could see myself just doing something creative. The funny thing is, at that point I was actually doing like fine art painting and drawing and sculpture work. I couldn't see myself doing that full time. I realised that I'm not sure what my next steps are. All I knew is I wanted to do something fun and creative and something I enjoy, but I just don't see myself doing this exactly. And at this point my parents are kind of okay about it-ish. I remember my mum did try and encourage me to do maths. So I went to this one-off lecture just for fun. One lecture was enough to tell me, yes, this isn't what I want to do. I also fell asleep, and I think that says enough. At the end of the day, they were just worried about the financial stability side of things, which is completely fair enough. As a parent, that's all you want. And also just having seen the way they've grown up and what their life was like, they didn't necessarily have that financial stability. I think they had to come here and build that. So it's completely understandable that they want that for their own kids as well. So I had that conversation. I think because I actually tried, my mum was like, do you know what? We'll let it go. Do whatever you want to do. Yeah, I then went on to do a foundation because I was still quite lost in what I wanted to do. Felt like that was probably the best route to take to figure out what my next step should be. Did fashion promotion, which was completely different. It involved a bit of fashion photography, and that's kind of how I discovered like my love for that. But then also loads of different things like PR and marketing and all sorts of other elements as well, and a bit of styling. That was an interesting year. I think I didn't really enjoy that course particularly, but I did really enjoy the photography side of things, and I knew that I wanted to take that forward, which is why I ended up doing photography at uni, and not specifically fashion photography, because some people have asked me, did you do fashion photography? But I did photography because I wanted to have that opportunity to keep things a bit broad and not limit myself, and just explore that a little bit, because that was my first time where I probably was going to be studying it. And yeah, that's kind of how I somehow ended up here. In the sense of just having student finance there, just have the time to build my portfolio. Because most of the times the things at that stage in my life, I was doing a lot of things either for free or just didn't really have a budget. Kind of needed that support, and having that was really, really beneficial, because building things like my final major project, which was great because then I did use that for loads of different exhibitions and showcases and magazines. So uni gave me that. But in terms of just industry itself, how do I say this? They just didn't speak enough about it, to be honest. But I was quite, at the end of the day, I was quite driven by figuring out how to go and make money from this, because my parents would ask me questions. Because there's a lot of opinions about this, and I think it's completely fair enough. So I interned for free for a little bit, just to build my experience, to be honest. The people I worked with, they were really lovely, built up my experience, built up my knowledge, learned about their experience within the industry as well, and that was really beneficial. And through doing things like that, got put into like these WhatsApp group chats and whatnot, and kind of found my first 9 to 5 job through a WhatsApp group chat for creatives. So my 9 to 5 was working at this photography and illustration agency called Studio Pi, and they're all about representing photographers and illustrators from just minorities essentially to some extent. I worked for them as a creative assistant, so I was doing all sorts of things. The team was really supportive, really like sweet, and they were a bit honest about the things that I should be doing to get to where I want to be, which is being on set and stuff, and they suggested that I should, reach out to people to assist them. I then spent Jan doing that, like sending out a bunch of emails. I reached out to loads of different photographers and just put myself forward. So I started doing that towards at the end of 2021, and then kind of left my job and decided just go for it and pursue it. Eventually, how I see freelancing has gotten to the point where like you build up such a network, and you do have to do this continuously, that eventually you'll reach a point where like people are just naturally coming to you because they've worked with you and they know you.
Yeah.
It's got to be, like, I've got to say, it's my recent project.
Yeah, I thought it would be.
Yeah, definitely that. A friend of mine, who is literally the sweetest, sent me the funding application and just like, I'm not sure if it completely applies to you. I think just have a go, apply and see what happens. And then I got it. It's just about showcasing different South Asian countries and cultures and experiences from the point of view of people from those respective countries and heritages and cultures and stuff. And also when you're in the industry, you come to realise it is a very male-dominated industry. So I think I wanted to combine that element of working with women and also just working with South Asian women and pitch that idea. And then when I won the funding, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I feel like everything happens for a reason a little bit, because this funding came through around the time I actually left my 9 to 5. The funny thing is, I pulled in a lot of people I had worked with over the like last year or two. They also kind of understood where I was coming from in terms of why I wanted to create it, because I think they felt the same as well to some extent. Like they felt like, as South Asian, we tend to get classed as one, and half the time I'm always called Indian. Hence why it is called not just brown, not just Indian. And one thing I was so determined about this project is to make sure it didn't look bridal, because that was the last thing I wanted. I wanted to, yes, showcase a culture, showcase our experiences, but more than that, because like when you grow up in the culture, you know that there's more than that. There's more to a woman than just like a marriage or whatever. And a lot of things that we did, it really revolved around like childhood experiences, like things you grew up doing and that you remember that your family taught you, things you ate, little things like that. The project was literally purely built from everyone's personal experiences. That was really important to me. Deep down, they knew that I wanted to go and do something creative. I didn't spend my time justifying it. I just said, like, I'm going to do this, and I'll show you, like, and they were like, how are you going to make money? I was like, I'll figure it out, don't worry. The harsh reality is it's going to be my problem. It's how I saw it. I just don't think it was going to work. I was like, I feel like, knowing how my family are, they're not going to believe it until I can show it. I pick up a camera and shoot, just shoot. You do want to go in a little bit with knowing what kind of things you want to shoot. Like, do you want to shoot people? Do you want to shoot sports, documentary, still life? See what you enjoy the most, for sure. But I think once you then kind of start to be like, yeah, actually, do you know what? I enjoy that more. I would say focus on that. As much as like uni gave me that time and freedom to figure things out, I think if you're in a position where you can, financially take off time to go and build this, I wouldn't say uni is an absolute necessity. My advice in terms of like shooting people is just reach out, put out call outs, pull in favours, ask your friends, just to build your portfolio and build your skill. And I would do that, keep doing that, and also just putting yourself forward to like magazines and exhibitions, and even just getting advice from other photographers. Definitely go and shoot, go and reach out to people and ask to assist. Sometimes when you reach out to people to assist, they'll pay you, just so you gain that experience. I feel like being on set is where I really learned to start to really perfect my lighting. I learned so much more about that, and I would say being on set and handling those kind of equipment and items is so essential.